Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Matus, and this is our Heart to Heart series. And this is our segment on building your network. And I am very, very honored to have today Nick Homcy. I've known Nick for so many years now. And in my head, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, he is someone that all of us should really get to know because not only is he at the top of his game, but he is also a wonderful person, a person that who cares. I can't tell you how many times we've had people, families work with him. And at the end of the day, they are so grateful that they had Nick in their corner, fighting for them, helping them, guiding them, and really being that professional in that real estate realm. So, Nick, what an honor. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I want to say too, those clients that I bring in and use you, they're always coming back too. I mean, we have the Grados right now with Brandy. Krista was, I think they might have even called you back before they called me to sell the parents' house. They were so happy. So I want to thank you for all the work that you've done. And, that's why I continue doing business together because you guys have been spectacular.
We appreciate everything. Nick, really, no, I mean, when it comes down to efficiency and professionalism and who really just knows their stuff, it's really you, and you're like the whole package. It's kind of rare to have that. So one of the things I want to make sure everyone knows is, you've been in this business for a long time. I remember seeing a post, it was about a year ago. So probably let's say it's 10 years now that you were doing something real estate by the numbers and you were hitting how many, I mean, they were like astounding numbers. And I was curious if you have any of those updated numbers. But when I was looking at it, and this was a year ago, so this was going to be at least 9 years, but now it's 10. But at the time, your highest sale was somewhere in Upper Saddle River. It was 2.3 million. You had over 630 listings sold. You had over 150 buyers that closed and over 200 million in real estate sold. And that was a year ago. So I can only imagine that these numbers are blown out of the water at this point. Oh, there we go. I love it. I love it.
So
Again,
yeah, we
folks,
could.
can I tell you this was not planned? See how quick he did this? That's who you're dealing with. Information at his fingertips. He knows. This is
So yeah, we've added about 70 sales in the last year to that, broken up between buyers and sellers. 2.3 is still my highest sale, and
amazing.
41 is still my least. But I was actually at a party the other day, and they had brought this up. Now I'm about 13 times driven around the earth in real
Oh my,
estate
I love that.
in 10
That's
years.
amazing.
Oh, and this year I just need to add the beard to the picture. That's it.
This is great. This is great. So I just want to like peel back the layers though, Nick. So, I mean, this is you. This is what you do. But I'm curious, what had you get into the real estate world? Was there someone that you saw and you wanted to model, or did something occur that said, this is something I want to do? I love hearing people's story.
Um, So, it's a little shallow, the reason I first joined. The reason I first joined is because my college roommate showed up in a brand new shiny car to an event and proceeded to tell me I'd be good at real estate because I never stopped talking. I had, really had been introduced to Robert Dukansky. He's the team leader. He's the big guy. Yeah, if anybody's ever seen this billboard around here,
Yeah.
um, that's everything. So once I met the guy, very quickly sold me on joining the team. And I had always been like, I mean, I'm not Mother Teresa, but I've always been a philanthropist. I was always involved with the American Cancer Society and site organizations and like a homeless shelter. There's a lot in college as part of my fraternity. I was the philanthropy chair. And then I continued that afterwards, big brother, big sister. So I saw this job, I mean, if you do it right and you work hard, the money's definitely good. For most realtors, they fail out, but the money's there. But I can do that as I'm helping people. Everybody needs a place to live. So
Absolutely.
why not me be the one to help them? I know they're going to get a good job, and it's a good career.
No, and you're helping people make a decision on one of the biggest things they can buy in their life, they need someone who they can trust, someone that they feel comfortable with, and that gives them good advice. That if this is not the right thing for them, that's great. Let them know, because I'm going to show you something that fits for you. And
Mhm.
that's how I think a lot of the clients have always told me, is that when they work with you, they can trust your advice, that you're not just leading them down this lane and that, who knows what happens, that you really look out for them, and that you've told them certain things where you say, like, this is not right. We got to go with this deal, or something's not feeling right. Let's, Chris, this is not the way to do it. I love that. And that is really a big, big reason why I think you are very successful, because you give such good advice that's for them, not for you.
Well, you know, the experience comes into a big factor because, my accountant had to take like, I think like 10 exams or something in order to get a CPA. But in real estate, you only have to take one exam after 75 hours, and you can fail it as many times as you want. So, at this point in my career with over 900, sales, I can lean on my experience to help people. Like my barber, I got a haircut one time. I told the new barber, what I wanted, and I didn't get it. And the barber who was out said, "Oh, well, I know you and I know what you really wanted, so I just did what I know like you want, not what you said." And that kind of plays over in real estate too. But the tricky part, especially for choosing a realtor or a newer realtor, is you need you don't start with experience, you need to get it, but you can sap it from someone else. And that's why, when you say Nick's done this and Nick done that, you know, I've done this because I signed on with the Robert Dukansky team. I was given amazing, anytime I need something, Rob is there, my broker is there to help me. And they've given me the team to work with me, like Danny, for example, who's been with me for 6 or 7 years to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So, even though I didn't start with the experience, I started under the people that had it and learned from it. And that's why I think my career, a lot of agents have a very small beginning. I was just talking to his agent. He's going to close 10 sales the second year. I closed 52 my second year because the framework was in place.
Yeah. And that's the one thing, and you've already hinted to it, because I was going to ask you, why are you with the company that you're with? But you already started talking about it. It sounds like unbelievable support that you're given. I think that's one of the things. Is that one of the things that probably would make this company different from others?
I find that and percentage wise, I feel like most agents get thrown out on their own, right? And it's kind of sink or swim. And oftentimes, as that agent sinks, their client sinks with them.
Yeah.
And their client gets in big trouble. I mean, you're talking about somebody you're helping with $1 million purchase. Well, guess what? If you were overselling somebody in 2006 and they had to sell in 2010, they're hundreds of thousands of dollars underwater.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't there during that time in real estate. You weren't. So I joined this team and I give up, every check that comes in, a lion's share of it goes back into the team to make sure that I have all the people that are doing right. But I know that if someone's answering the phones right when they need to be, the appointments are getting booked, the sales are being there, and time is money in real estate. Even, when I'm away, it's not often I take off, but when I do, the phones still get answered, deals still get done. So yeah, joining into a framework like this, and we don't necessarily have like a training programs like Keller Williams has Fired Up and things like that. Everything's just shadowing. So in the beginning, I followed Rob around and his brother and some of the other top agents that are still there. We're all still there. Um, from there, learned so much from them, and now I reciprocate the same thing. I mean, we've got some newer agents on the team that I love bringing with me. They learn a lot, and it looks good because people see I'm the one trusted to train them.
And that leads me to a great question. So, someone who wants to start out in this field, and here's like, it sounds like, you are already in kind of a mentor kind of position for them. What are some of the advice that you want to give them if they were thinking of doing something like this, or someone that you're helping? Is there a certain thing that they should be thinking about or reminding themselves about? Any tips for them, Nick?
Um, First thing I would say to people is, if you want to get into real estate, save up some money because there's going to be a while where you're not getting a paycheck. And even if you get lucky and you sell a house right away, there's going to be more time. Took me 6 months to sign a contract with, I'm sorry, 6 months to close a deal with someone. So that was there. I do not recommend going into 30 grand of credit card debt. That's what I did. It worked somehow. But I don't recommend that to anybody else. But the biggest thing I would say is find someone that knows what they're doing and is willing to teach you. Whether, I mean, you shouldn't have to pay someone, I mean, but theoretically, not like a training course on the computer, like an actual agent in your area that you can learn from. And you can even offer them, what I did was I did, for those guys in the beginning, I did favors for them. I did their inspections and showings and all certificate of occupancies and all those things for them. So figure out a way, or you can just join their team and give them a big, part of the commission, whatnot, but find somebody that knows what they're doing and is willing to teach you, but also look for someone who has taught others. So if you, and this is just for sellers and buyers too,
Yeah.
if you hire a real estate agency that does, 300, agency, a team that does 200 deals a year, and the two owners are doing 170 of the deals, and you have a couple agents that are squandering, like, you need to find someone that's actually going to teach you how to get better and become the top agent and not competing with them.
I
Um,
agree.
and that's why I really like our structure, because Rob doesn't sell anymore. He just gives us all the tools we need to sell more.
That's
And,
great.
we've only ever had, I think in 14 years, we've only had one successful agent move out on their own. And I won't talk about where they're at now, but I think they'll be a lot better here. Um,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
everything.
And I agree with you, finding and modeling yourself after someone who's successful and who's actually doing it is so key. I mean, in my profession, that's how I learned. And I still fall back in my thoughts of my early mentors, how they did things. And it wasn't even about the procedure of doing things, but I liked how they treated people, how they spoke to people, how they kept up their professionalism, especially when things get tough, how they held themselves together, because I think those are the things that the families remember. Those are the things that our referral partners remember, that, when the heat is on, that's when the real character comes out. And that's when you really need to like dig deep and figure out, okay, I still have to have a clear head and I'm still going to help you no matter what, that I don't give up, and that's one thing about you too. You are tenacious. And I love that, because there are times, there's been situations where like, okay, we're up against a wall because of someone being challenging, whether it's the other side, one way or the other. And then I love the idea that we can chat and be creative and just talk it out, like saying, because it is hard to have someone that you are partnering with and you may not be able to have that freedom to chat for whatever reason. But I love to be like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? How can we? And it's all to help the client. That's really it. And you're
But
wonderful that way.
see, we've made a team on our side, and I have other deals now. Of somebody in Brick, I recommended them to use your office, and they got the attorney through, so blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if you don't work with the whole package, and again, I'll work with anybody they bring me to, but if you're not getting the whole package of the Nick Homcy, the Dikansky, you're not getting Christine Matus, and you're not getting John Dixon, the inspector, and all those other things, now a lot of this falls on just the attorney or the agent. And you really need everybody on the deal on one side working together. I know you've been doing this for some time and you've got the experience, so have I. So, we also don't get, for the lack of a better term, I'd say, like my younger cousin says, shook. You don't want to get shook, right? When there's a problem. So we've dealt with it enough to where we can figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or that, we kind of seen certain issues that happened before. They may not be exact, but we always feel like, okay, at the end of the day, this is what we want. So let's figure this out. But
Mhm.
I am always the first, and I encourage my team when we're working with you and like you're right. We'll work with anyone, but it is nice when we have great rapport, because I always want to make sure we're always on the same page, because we're all here to help the client. And sometimes the way you phrase something, the way something's presented, we want to make sure it makes sense to everybody, because we're helping the client. And so I always love to just check in saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're doing. Does that make sense? And I can't tell how many times you've enlightened us. And we're like, no, 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 Chris, remember, blah, blah. Love that. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Or like, okay, I didn't know that part. So then I go back to the client saying like, listen, wait, we got to change what we're doing, because Nick alerted us of this, and I love that. And the client can only benefit from that. So and I have to share with you, Nick, when I was first a lawyer, I worked for a couple of law firms, and I remember they would always say, "Hey, if you're dealing with real estate, you don't really have to chat with the realtor, just tell them when the closing is." And that was my attitude in the beginning. But then I would realize, like, they kind of know a lot, let me find out. And then I also realized that they've been with the client longer than I have. You're with them during the holidays, at night, the weekends. You're spending all this time with them. So I can't imagine why we would ignore your calls. I thought that was so odd. So I remember not taking that advice, and that was to me. I just felt like, why are we making everything hard? We're not fighting with them? Why are we fighting with them? Like, that's how it was presented, and I don't know if that's an old school of thinking, Nick, but I don't prescribe to that at all. 100%
It's
not.
like there's a hubris there that one person's better than the other, that the attorney is smarter than the real estate agent. And look, we know that you guys had to go to an extra 8 years of schooling. There's no doubt about that. There's a reason I'm a realtor, not an attorney. I would not have passed the LSAT. But that's a skill set, that the attorneys that have. Whereas I tend to be, I can connect with people really well, and really I have to discover what they want. Nobody tells you. They can describe the house, but they never really know what they want for those types of things. But some attorneys feel that way, not all, but some. Just like you have some agents sell. I mean, listen, if you're selling more than 30, 40 homes a year, that's a respectable realtor. I'm gonna do 70 something this year. My best year was 130. But I can't look at that. I'm better than anybody else, on the deal. We all have to work together.
Yeah.
Even though we're on, it's the buyer side versus the seller side, we still need to work with the other side too. So if everybody's communicating and happy, this is going to be better for all parties involved. But if
Yeah.
it becomes a war like some agents and some attorneys do, I mean, I tried another attorney this year as part of a business networking group, and he basically made it evident that he didn't want my input at all. And it's a very good point that you say, I'm with the client a lot more. I know the wants, the needs, and everything like that. You know the law better, and you know how
That's
to
it.
protect the client. And there's
Yeah.
times that I'll bring a contract forward and say, "Hey, I don't think I worded this right. Here's what I meant to do," and that's when you put it in stone and
Yeah.
protect.
And that's where I always feel, I respect your lane, I respect my own lane. And I know, I don't cross over because I'm like, you know what? I don't, and that's where I feel like, okay, and same thing with mortgage companies and things like that. There's so many different pieces, but we have to work together. So here's a question, Nick. What would you say is the best part of your job, if you can narrow it down to a few things?
Um, I would say, closing the deals, but specifically closing the buyers.
Mm.
A lot of the sellers I deal with are moving out of state, and I don't really keep in touch with them. They're going to Florida. But the buyers, for example, just to see, their dreams of owning a home. I mean, probably a third of my buyers are first time, home buyers. I did a lot more buyers in the beginning, but I still do some. Just closed a lovely family in Edison, and they had been working with another realtor for a few months. Couldn't find anything. I met them on August 16th. I put them under contract and review on August 19th, and we closed their house September 20th. And on that September 20th, they got to walk in, with their little toddler in hand. I'm terrible with kids' ages, but he wasn't talking yet, and they showed him his room, and he was running around. He was happy, and that's just right there. I can see that family's going to be there and enjoy the home.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You're right. When you actually see from the beginning to the end, I can only imagine that satisfaction. And they found the house because of you. They're in that house because of you. That's cool. That's a cool thing. I think that's really good. So you and I have seen that, the market has been what it is, I have to say, though, I do feel it is better, a little better than last year, but I'm just curious. Any advice for people who are looking for a home? A lot of them, still feel frustrated, and they're still looking, but I'm just curious if, any insight, anything you want to share with them, Nick.
I've had, I think, 12 buyers this year,
Okay.
and 9 or 10 of them were able to get an offer accepted in the first 30 days. There are, listen, you're looking to buy, in a super competitive area like Westfield, New Jersey, and a competitive price point like 800, 900, you're gonna have 10 offers on every property. But finding someone who you work well with and has the knowledge of that area and the knowledge of the market now too, your realtor is going to make all the difference. I mean, your mortgage company working with a broker that's going to be responsive is good, but you're never going to get the offer there if you can't do that. And so you really want to look for something. And I don't want to poo-poo new agents because, I was there my first year, I sold 14 homes and I had no experience, but you really want to look for an agent or a team or someone with a mentor that knows what they're doing and has performed. It's awesome if an agent has 500 sales in their career. I mean, that's a lot for anybody over 30, 40 years. But find somebody that's doing sales every month now to help you get the advantage in specific areas.
Yeah, I think
So
you're right about that. That's great, great information because I think, a lot of them get frustrated, but you're right. I think if they can, align themselves with someone like you who is comfortable, who has a lot of experience, that's the confidence I think they'll need because it is hard, right? I mean, it's just been just a different market, 5 years ago, I was like, wow, and now it's you have to really be good at what you do, to sort keep going. Because I see so many that used to be in the game and they're not anymore just because it is challenging, to be in this profession now. I've seen a lot, decide to do something different, and you're one of the long-standing ones that are always in, day out. So I guess my question, Nick, is how big is your team? Because I know sometimes we have information, not information, there's sometimes people we work with, sometimes a little hard to reach, the communications issue, and you never seem to have that. How do you do that? Like you're always responsive, there's always someone helping us with information. And I found that remarkable because sometimes we don't get that and it's a waiting game. Like, did we hear from so and so? Did we hear and then the clients are getting upset. So how do you do it?
well, in the beginning, I just had no life, and for the first 5 years of the job, I was glued to my phone and didn't take vacations and all that fun stuff. And I'm happy to say the last 5 years have not been like that. What I've noticed is that when I got so busy to the point of I wanted to spend a couple hours on my boat and go fishing, and those phone calls were getting answered as a problem, that's when you need to hire an assistant. That's when you need to put calls into a call center. That's when you need virtual assistants to do that. But obviously, as an agent, you're not going to have that from the beginning. But if you're working with an agent and they're saying, hey, I can't get back to you, I'm coaching T-ball or whatever, they should have a framework of people to help out. So when a buyer calls our office, our call center, talks to the buyers, same for a seller. When an agent calls in, they call me directly, I deal with them. If I'm not available, I have Danny, my assistant, I have a couple other people. So, responsiveness is a big thing. And I have the luxury of having the team around me now, but even before then, you also got to be open with people, as well.
Yeah.
Um, let my clients know, hey, I'm going to be away for a few days, but here's the phone number of the person that will help you during that time.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
agents
that's all.
don't.
And that's all you need to hear. The worst is when you don't prepare, like if you're in the middle of a deal and you don't alert everyone that you're not available, but this is who people panic, people do panic. It happens, and especially if something's happening, it's nice to know, like, okay, no, he's away. Let me talk to so and so. Wonderful. That's all people really need. But it
Mhm.
is funny how it sometimes that's lacking, like that next step of like, oh, okay, if I only knew, I would have known to call that person. Like, I'm sorry, because sometimes they get back to me like, I'm away. I'm like, okay, I didn't know, and
Yeah.
just let me know, I'm okay. But so as we see things changing, so we know one way or the other, we're going to have a new president. And I'm just curious, with this new administration, Nick, do you anticipate any changes or anything, or does it even affect? I'm just curious in your industry if you've heard anything. Has anyone like anything that's in the trends over there that they mentioned about this?
I've I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things.
Mhm.
Um, but I was there when Biden got elected, when Trump got elected. when Obama got, or was it re-election? I think I've been through three presidential elections, and everyone always say it's going to be the end of the world no matter what side. It hasn't affected anything. I mean,
Yeah.
the economic policies and the state of the country are really going to take like years to follow that. So I've seen no change, and I mean, according to my grandmother, been a lot more turmoil lately than when she first started voting. But even with all these tumultuous elections, no differences really.
No, no difference. Yeah. And I've also felt too, a lot of the power and things that happen is really locally. It's done locally. So
Yeah.
that's what we should be focusing on. And what if you have all these concerns of what's going on? Because yes, whoever's president, they are, eh, making some decisions and they have influence, but for the most part, locally, local politics is where it is. That's always been my position, how things
Unless
move.
either of them are unveiling a plan to build 25,000 houses in New Jersey in the next 2 or 3 years, we've still got, our inventory has doubled since last year. It's
Okay.
still about a third of what it was,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. So until that supply and demand issue, and I mean, demand,
Yeah.
everyone needs a place to live.
Mhm.
So, there's only, every person is a demand. It's not choosing to get an Xbox or not, right? So until that supply issue is fixed, we're gonna be in a similar seller's market.
Yeah, I think you're right. So you've been in the industry, I guess now 10 years, Nick? Well, that's wonderful.
Years in
That's a
4 days,
big
10
deal.
years.
Oh my gosh. So can you picture yourself in the next 3, 5 years? Do you have an idea that, where do you think you want to see yourself? Any goals? I'm just curious. Anything to share?
I really enjoy the selling aspect of it, and on the team as a listing agent, I really get to focus on just the people, the negotiations and signing people up. So for me to say, like, I don't really want to be a leader of a team. So much responsibility, hiring and firing. I could never do that. I have a hard enough time picking an assistant on those things. I really just want to sell, more houses, and I want to be more, I want to hone my skills. If I go on 100, I mean, I go on, say, I'll do 200 appointments this year, and I'll sell just under 80 houses. Maybe in the future, I'll go on 100 appointments and I'll be able to sell 80 houses. So reduce the time there. Um, and I would like to get to the point where I could fill another assistant up or advise some people. But I'm gonna be full-time with the real estate, and then maybe down the road, when I get into my, 50s and 60s, I'll be doing more real estate investing, but I gotta get the capital for that first.
That's cool.
I just bought my second property in October, so we're
Nice.
gonna add to the portfolio.
That's
But
great.
that's the ultimate goal.
I love that. And that makes me think, as we're moving forward, there's a lot of new technology in place. AI is a big thing. Has that made a difference in how you do your work?
I know that the change is coming, and I know the market's gonna be different. Mark my words right now, it is 2000, we're about to be 2005. I think by, or 2025, I think by 2035, the job will be completely different. So I'm just keeping my eyes and ears and adapting to the market. I mean, buyers, AI is gonna be such a good use tool of information in the next 10 years. But right now, it's still horrible. I can Google things all the time, and their AI recommendations about real estate and law are horribly wrong, right? So,
Yeah.
so for now, I'm gonna continue to be the source of the correct information. But as it goes on, sooner, I will, I'll expect to see listing homes as a more streamlined process, where I may not even need to be going to the homes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but, but a
I remember.
buyer's agent, I think, is always gonna be very necessary, even with AI. That person there to take you through the homes and explain everything. We're not gonna be going into our phone going, Alexa, how old is this heating system? You know?
Yeah. And that's so true about the AI. So, I've seen issues where people are thinking that they're quoting law, that the AI is giving them good law, and they're
Mhm.
all wrong, made up. It sounds so convincing. So that's a big problem, so that's where I could see the technology is carrying us to a certain place, but it's still not reliable. It's still not the source to rely on. It's a little scary because it sounds so convincing. So that's number one. But I agree with you that I do see that, in 10 years, each of our positions are always going to be different. It's always going to, but I think what's important is that we still become that, we're still that advisor. People still need a human being to understand the nuances, to understand, because A plus B isn't always C in our profession. I wish it was, but it's not, and that's why they need us. That's how it goes. But needing that professional who can express themselves, articulate it, and express why you can't rely on such and such thing that you found online. That's so important. So I think that's important. One other question, Nick. So you help with listing, you help people buy homes. What's your radius? Like, where are you comfortable helping people when it comes to them having real estate issues?
I tell people this and they think we're crazy, especially other agents, but my radius it's New Jersey.
Great.
We cover the entire state. We have people all over. The way we operate is I travel the entire state. I've got listings in Hudson County, Salem County, all over. And then, because, listing homes, people like to think that every home is special and their home is special, but it's a numbers and it's a marketing game. Right, that's why I could be so. I mean, if you gave me access to the Florida MLS, I think I could still do a better job than some of the local agents there because of our resources. But anyway, for listings in New Jersey and then for buyers, that's a little bit more nuanced. I'm very familiar with Central Jersey. I'm from Northern New Jersey, so I handle that a lot as well. When you get deep down into South Jersey, we have agents down that way as well. That would be if someone says to me, I want to buy a house in this town and I don't think I can help them 100%, I'm going to set them up with someone on the team who I think does, that is just as good as me, and that. And
No,
I mean,
that's
I do a lot less. If I do 12 buyers a year, let's say, that's less than some of the agents on the team doing 24 or 36. So you might even be getting a more suited buyers person for me.
I love that. But then that just again confirms in me that you are a trusted advisor, because I think there's a certain maturity level where we are able to determine, yes, I can help you, or no. Saying no is also a good service to a client.
Mhm.
Younger, immature, sometimes they'll say yes to everything. And then at the end of the day, they're worried they're not doing the best job that they think they can. Then we have people who are upset. I don't need that. You don't need that, but
Say all
it's hard. It's hard to say no sometimes, but I think it's that the years that you've had, your expertise and that confidence that you realize, no, I'm helping you and I'm helping you by me saying no, and I'm going to point you in the right way to get the right result that you need. So that's important. So Nick, how can people find you? What's the best way that they could get in touch with you to help you either list or buy?
I mean, you could just Google my name. I mean, if you search, I mean, the best way is to call me. I would call or text is great. You can email. Our website has forms to fill out. But if you just Google Nick Homcy or Nicholas Homcy, my Google page props up. That's my cell phone number right there. Give me a call. If I don't pick up, leave a message, and I'll get right back to you.
And everyone, in the comment section of this video, we're going to put all of Nick's information. So you'll be able to look at that. But I agree too. You can also, that's the power of the internet, that you can look up people. So that's also a good thing. So my last question, Nick, I love to end it. What do you do for fun? What do you like to do?
Well, winter's here. I'm a huge skier. I'll be out skiing all winter. I've done, like my friends and I always joke, the number of deals I've done for the chairlift is a lot. That's my biggest since I was 5 years old. I'm a diehard skier all over the country, and hopefully I'll be able to travel that. My latest obsession is pickleball. I joined the Lifetime Gym
Oh, you did.
in Red Bank, and I'm there 3, 4 days a week playing. Um,
Oh, that's great. That's
just keeping
great. Where do you have a special place, a favorite place that you like to ski?
So I've been going to Hunter Mountain, New York since I was 5. That's
Oh, nice.
would I rather be in the Alps all the time? Yeah, but it's a little difficult for me to get there. And would I rather be out on the West Coast? Yes, but for me, 3 hours. I leave at 6 o'clock. I get there at 9, ski all day, drive back, and that's my home base.
Oh boy. So it's starting up again. That's it. Yeah. So do you have a first trip planned already?
I probably by the middle of the month, I'm gonna head up to somewhere up in New England. A lot of the places are just starting to open, which is a very easy, very early season, mid-November. We haven't seen that in probably 15, 20 years. But this one's gonna be a cold one, so I'll be good.
I am not a skier, but I love watching it. It looks so easy. And, I look every time I see it. And I have a friend, I think he got a place in Vermont or something or other. And I mean, I feel like all the photos are always skiing. I keep thinking, like, oh gosh, are you even working? So, I mean, it's so nice. That's great. Nick, thank you so much for spending the time with us and sharing not only of what you do, but how you do it. And I think everyone could agree that you really know what you're talking about. You're very good at what you do, but also that you're just a very kind and good person. And that's someone that we are very honored to be working with. It's hard to get that combination. I really feel honored that, I consider you a very strong teammate, someone that we rely on, and someone that we really admire because you do good work all around and you have great team members. So I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you for spending time with us. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I mean, you guys have been absolutely amazing through the years. I'm so glad Monique recommended me to you guys.
I
Um,
always think about her. Yes.
like 8 or 9 years ago, I was like, "Do you have an attorney in Tom's River?" Um,
That's
and,
awesome.
and you guys have been exceptional as well. And I mean, not to sound big on it, but people come and go. I've gotten rid of attorneys. I've gotten rid of mortgage people. I've gotten rid of if they're not performing and doing right by my clients. And
I appreciate everything, Nick. We really do. So everyone, please, if you are having a home that you think you want to have listed or just not even sure what to do, you have to call Nick. And if there's homes that you want to look at, especially in Central, but anywhere in New Jersey, he'll help point the way that you want to buy. Nick is the person to chat with. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Thank you, Nick. Thanks.